what are the weirdest dates you've been on or the strangest dates you've ever been on? Let's talk. Okay, so I'm gonna do the top 5 or maybe top 10 weirdest dates I've ever been on. So one, it's not in any order, by the way. Okay, so it's just like the weirdest ones I've ever been on. One would be so we got to the restaurant, nice guy, and we're there chatting, ordered drinks, waiting on our food, and the table was moving a lot. So I was like, okay, the table's a little bit rocky. So I was like, what's wrong with the table, And I kept looking to see like where was it tilted? Why did it keep moving, right? And what happened was the guy was sat at the table wanking himself off whilst we're on the date. Right there in the restaurant. Just under the table, just doing it. And that's not even the worst part of that date. When he was finished, he took up the napkin off the table, the cloth one, and he cleaned himself up. I was going to say ejaculated in it, but he cleaned himself up with the napkin. And then he put it back on the table and he called the server over and he said, oh, can I get a new napkin? So the girl took it up and I was like, oh my God. And she's like, why is this so sticky? And I was like, ugh, are you fucking kidding me? But that's not even the worst part. The worst part was I stayed and finished the date because I was so hungry and the food was coming and my belly was rumbling. And I stayed. The awkwardness was like, oh my God. But I stayed and I ate my food because I was starving. And I finished my drinks. And then I was like, I've got to go. And then I left. So that, I think, was even worse. The fact that I stayed after that happened and ate in the silence and the awkwardness of what he had done. And I'm kind of like, what the fuck? But that's one of them. Okay, so number 2, is, as I said, it's not in order or anything. Number 2 for awkwardness or terrible date is I went on the date with this guy, really sweet, lovely man, but he kept crying. And when I said crying, I meant like we went to this lovely restaurant in Mayfair, and every time something reminded him of his ex, he would cry. So we're sat at dinner, we're chatting, whatever, and something reminded him, I think it was a song came on, and it reminded him of his ex, and he started crying. But it wasn't no, it was some bawling, like proper bawling. Oh, big ass grown ass man in the middle of the restaurant. Now everyone's eyeballing me, giving me dirty looks because they're like, oh my God, what did you do? Why is he crying? You're a bitch. What did you do to make that man cry? This was a first date too. I was like, oh my God, really? We left from the restaurant and we ended up going to a bar, right? And we're at the bar and I ordered a drink. And the girl next to me ordered a drink, which apparently was his ex's favourite drink. And he started crying again. Bawling again. Again, I'm at the bar, everyone's staring at me. And I'm like, really? Are you serious right now? And it so happened that I saw someone that I knew that saved me. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. Because if somebody is so triggered and crying, grown-ass man, 50s, crying every time something reminded them of the ex, the trauma is still there. The feeling, everything is still there. So I was like, it was so weird and awkward. So I would say that's 2 of 5 or 10 of the weirdest dates I've ever been on. Okay, so this is number 3. Again, it's not in order, right? Of the weirdest or strangest dates I've ever been on. So I was messaging this guy that we matched on the online dating, and we were getting on really well. We decided to meet. So we said, oh, let's meet at the station and then walk from there to the bar. Cool. Got to the station, couldn't find him. Called him. And the guy that answered the phone was in a wheelchair. And I said, dear God, please, I have sinned enough. I have done so much shit in my life. Please, don't let this be Charles, because, oh my God, this cannot be. It was him. In a wheelchair. That he didn't mention at all. And the worst part about it, it wasn't one of those electrical ones or anything. So I ended up pushing him in his wheelchair to go to the bar. So I became a carer. And went to the bar. I did it out of courtesy because I was like, I'm not going to let people think, oh, because he's disabled, I've left him stranded or whatever. So we went to the bar, we're drinking whatever, and he said, oh, I've got to go to the toilet. And I said, all right, cool. You go to the loo, I'll go to the loo as well, whatever. And he went to the loo, he came back, and he lifted, because he had a blanket covering his legs and that, he lifted the blanket up. And he's like, oh, look, Camille, look. It still works. And I was like, this was a man in a wheelchair. He hasn't walked, he said, for about 15 years. And he felt the need to lift this blanket up to show me he could still get hard. I was traumatized. I was like, what the fuck? Right? And I just kindly said, you know what? Have a good night. And I just walked the fuck off. Because I thought, you can't be serious. The cheek. So I was lost for words. And I was giggling to myself because I was like, only me this shit would happen to. Because what the fuck? So number 4, I was messaging this guy on the dating site, everything, and we're getting on really, really well. And we decided to meet. And I always choose to meet at a bar. We have a drink. It doesn't have to be alcoholic. See how we get on, whatever. Got to the station, at Leicester Square station. I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm right here. I can't find him, whatever. So I'm looking at his photo and I was like, yeah, okay. I don't see him. Then this black big African guy walks up to me and said, oh my God, Camille. And I was like, wait, what? Who are you? I don't know you. And he's like, it's me. And I said, me who? I don't know you. And he's like, oh, we've been messaging. I said, nope, I have not been messaging with you. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, oh, it's me, Alistair. I was like, I beg your pardon? What do you mean it's you, Alistair? I said, Alistair is blue eyes, blonde hair, and 6'4" with a slight Scottish accent. You're not Alistair. And he's like, oh, I thought it would be a great surprise when you see that I don't look like my photos. Dude, your entire race different. Like, what? Oh, did you think I was going to say, oh, wow, yay, yay. I was like, wow. People are really delusional. I was like, back the hell up before I called the police, and I took my rape whistle out and I took my alarm out and I said, back up. And I just started blowing on that whistle. I was like, how did you think this was gonna go? How did you think this was gonna end? How did you think I was gonna react? I was like, what? Really? But then I started to think, maybe I attract the crazies, because damn, so many crazies, right? So I started to think, maybe I'm the problem, maybe I'm the issue, you know? And then, okay, let's go to number 5. Again, it's not in order or anything. I went out with this guy. We were having a great time. We had dinner, we had drinks. Things were going really, really well. He loved to travel. Everything was going superbly. And I'm like, oh, I can see a second date coming. I went to the loo, freshened up my makeup, whatever. I came and, you know, he had ordered dessert. And I was like, oh, no dessert for me. And he's like, please. And I was like, I can't. I'm lactose intolerant. And he's like, just please. You don't have to eat it. Just open it up. And I was like, well, no, because I won't. It's a waste because I'm lactose intolerant. He had a ring. In the dessert. And he said he already knew he was in love with me by the sound of my voice when we spoke on the phone. And he got on one knee in the restaurant and he proposed to me. This was our first date. Our very, very first date. We never met before. This was our first time meeting. We had drinks and we had dinner. We'd spoken on the phone maybe 2 or 3 times before meeting. But this was the first time locking eyes to eyes. Apart from the photos he saw on the dating site, he's never met me before. And then he was I was kind of like, I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was thinking, what the fuck? Another weird one. What the fuck? And I sat there in shock, like, this must be a joke. Where's the cameras at? What the hell is going on? This must be a joke. Then he pulled his phone out and he was like, babe. I was like, babe? 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 He's like, where should we go for a honeymoon? He's like, I've saved these flights. I just need your details. Did you bring your passport? Because I was thinking that maybe we could go on honeymoon and we could get married there. And I was just there like, what? And I said, you know, we should take some photos of us together in this moment and make videos. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I said, let me go to the toilet and freshen up. And he was so caught up in the moment, he didn't realize I took my jacket out and my bag and my phone. And I went to the way of the toilet, of the loo, and I made a left turn and I exited the restaurant sharpish because I thought it was a first date. You've known me face to face. You've met me for exactly 2.5 hours. And I had a proposal. He was planning the honeymoon. He even said to me at one point, he thinks that we should have another 2 children. 1 boy and 1 girl. And I'm like, what? But I feel like when people are delusional, delulu, and demented, there's no point challenging them. So I didn't challenge him. I just exited the restaurant. And that's not even the worst part of it. I blocked him. He didn't know where I lived, whatever. He went to the police station and reported that his fiance, which apparently was me, is missing. And I was like, what the fuck? When the police called me and I explained to them what had happened, they were literally laughing down the phone because they were like, what? Are you serious? And I was like, does he not look a bit delusional to you? He didn't even know my surname. And they were like, yeah, he didn't even know where I lived. But for him, in his Delulu land, to go, that's dangerous as well. To go report his fiance missing. I was like, maybe I shouldn't date. Maybe I shouldn't be going on dates. Maybe I should stay by myself, because if this is what's out there, then what hope have I got in finding someone to love me and care for me and just be with me and for us to be happy? Delulu land out there, everywhere. Delulu, crazy ass people. So I'm like, wow, really? This is it? This is these crazy. Just no. So that's 5. I'm gonna do a part 2, I think, for another 5. But let's talk. What's the worst dating experiences you've had? Drop a comment below the worst dates or worst dating experiences you've had. I want to know if it's just me that's attracting these horrible dates, or if you guys have had bad dates as well. So comment below. I'll do a part 2 for another 5 worst dates. And these are not like all recent dates or nothing. These are like dates in the last 10 years. So just comment below and then I'll do a part 2. I want to hear your guys' side and what's the worst dates you've been on, and just to see I'm not the only one that's having these crappy dates. So let's talk.